Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. John Nicholson has fired a broadside at Joanna Cherry, reigniting the civil war within the SNP over gender reform. It's absolutely wonderful to watch a party pulling itself apart over a policy, but it's even more delicious when you realise it's not even their policy. This, of course, is the policy of the Greens that's been foisted upon them. And this one policy is ripping the party in half. The trouble is that most people, I mean like 99% of people in Scotland, are against it. But for some reason, ideologically, some in the party are for it. And it's bonkers. If they're that confident, put it to a vote, put it to a referendum. They won't, because they know they will lose. And yet the party is pulling itself in half over a proposal that isn't, as I say, even their proposal. This could be the thing that renders the party completely dead. It will kill it. It will split it. And it is absolutely joyous, as an outsider, to watch these people wallow in their own illogical fallacies as they try to justify endangering women. It's great, isn't it? We'll have a look at this article, see what's going on. But on this one, I'm going to side with Joanna Cherry, I think. Simply because she is, well, from a moralistic and ethical point of view, right. Here goes. So, SNP civil war spills over at the Edinburgh Fringe as John Nicholson takes a pop at MP colleague Joanna Cherry. I hope he's not popping cherries. The Nats have been split by the issue of gender reform, and it seems that there is no love lost between colleagues in the Westminster group. Now, of course, Joanna Cherry is saying that the gender reform bill is a dangerous piece of legislation. In general, it is actually damaging to the safety of women. It means that men, if this goes through, men would be allowed to enter safe spaces such as DV units or crisis centres, things like that. And it would not protect women from that. And specifically, and as a lesbian woman herself, she's saying it effectively erases women as a thing. And it's like, if she wanted to go and have a relationship with a woman and a man turned up and said, oh, well, I'm a man, but I identify as a woman. And she says, yes, but you're still a man. Even if you identify as a woman, you're still a man, still got a penis, not interested. And then he goes, oh, well, that's phobic, isn't it? No, it's not. I just don't like cocks, love. You know what I mean? And that's fine. Whatever floats your boat. Don't care. As long as you love someone. You know, no business of mine. No business of anybody's. Two consenting adults do what they bloody well like. Don't care. But this bill would mean that that man could actually, and this is absolutely true, could actually then sue a woman who didn't date him. This is how bad it is. And especially when you take that in line with the hate bill, that is another one of Humza Yousaf's one. And again, more on that later. There is so much news to get through today. But it is just in line with all these policies all crashing together. And they are splitting the party asunder. So anyway, we'll go into this. The SNP's civil war spilled over at the Edinburgh Fringe on Saturday as John Nicholson took a pot shot at his Westminster colleague, Joanna Cherry. The issue of gender reform that would simplify the process by which someone can legally change gender has driven a huge wedge within the Nat group. You can't change your gender, you just change what people call you. You're still male and female. A piece of paper doesn't change anything. And on Thursday, Ms Cherry spoke of intolerance within the party towards those who air concerns about the impact proposed legislation could have on women and on single-sex spaces, and for which this is absolutely correct. She told journalist Graham Spears that she'd been harangued by party colleagues to stop her getting involved with the LGB alliance, and had previously said she was removed from the Nationalist front benches for her views. And we're going to go into something which I was going to touch on, but I've actually seen it's coming up, so I'll leave it until it does, which is right now. Mr Nicholson, the MP for Oakland South Perthshire, was in no mood to offer out an olive branch when he appeared at the same In Conversation event on Saturday. He quipped that the SNP group at Westminster was very LGBT, or in Joanna's case, LGB without the T, which refers to transgender. Now here's the thing, you have all these letters in the alphabet, people. L, G and B are attractions. Everything after the B is a mental illness. And so you can be attracted to someone and that's absolutely fine. But Trans are not part of LGB. They are the direct opposite. Because a trans, let's say it's a man pretending to be a woman, obviously doesn't want, because 99% of them are lesbian, in other words, straight men in a dress. And so they don't want to be with men, so they're anti-gay. But the man might find him saying, well, you're a man in a dress, but you're quite good looking. How about having it? And the man goes, no. Says, I'm not there. Well, hang on a minute, then you're anti-gay then. You're anti-gay because you won't have sex with me, you're anti-gay, you're homophobic. No, I'm not homophobic. I'm straight. I mean, lesbian. Because I can't even get the terminology right. I said, well, hang on, if you're lesbian and you've got a penis, and lesbian means attracted to the same sex, and you've got a penis, you'd obviously be attracted to someone with a penis. Oh, no. And they can't argue their way out of it, you see. These people are sick. But that's a function of their mental illness, of course. Anyway, he went on to claim opponents to the Gender Recognition Reform Bill, passed in Holyrood in December, before being blocked, thankfully, by Westminster, had imported an insidious culture war from the United States, and he also accused critics of mischaracterising the bill to a grotesque degree. No. This bill is one of the most damaging pieces of legislation that will directly harm physically, mentally, and emotionally women, and especially vulnerable women who have already perhaps become victims of men once, and now they're being made to be the victims continually. Opponents of the reform say it would make it easier for very physically awful men to identify as women and gain access to single spaces. But Mr. Nicolson dismissed the argument, and he's going to come out and say something now which I'm going to completely refute because he is a fuckwit and there's no other way of putting it. He says, the bottom line is this: it is horribly, horribly easy to attack women in society. Women get attacked all the time, often in a family unit, statistics show, but all over the place, he says. It just doesn't seem credible to me that a heterosexual man, because that is who attack women, it's not gay men and it's not trans women, heterosexual men attack women. They are not going to go to the problem of getting themselves a gender recognition certificate to dress up in heels and wigs in order to go into a private place in order to assault women. And if you go through the court documents, the statistics show that trans women do not assault other women. And yet if you read Twitter, you think the only people who attack heterosexual women are trans women. Now let's have a look at what he's saying, because it is complete and utter bullshit. And I'm going to prove it to you. First of all, we have to look at prison statistics. He said look at the statistics. Let's look at the statistics. Of all the men who are not trans, normal men, in prison, 6% of them are in for sex crimes. If you look at trans prisoners, 60%, 10 times, an order of magnitude greater, are in prison for sex crimes. And when you think that there are men who, as he calls them, are heterosexual, that is to say, virtually every man who calls himself a woman, pretending to be a woman, is actually heterosexual, because his lesbian credentials means he wants to put his penis inside a woman, and is therefore heterosexual. And he's saying it's heterosexual men that damage women. I quite agree. There you go. Because all these trans men are actually heterosexual. They're not homosexual men. They're not women, pretendy women, who want to go, I want a man now. Oh, call me Susan, give me a man. Because that's the last thing they want. The last thing these people want is a penis entering them. And that's it. So he is right about being heterosexual men. But it's heterosexual men with mental conditions and a fetish for woman face. And if blackface is so bad and so wrong, can we make women face bad and wrong as well? Why not? Why not do that? Anyway, his comments come days after Mary Black, the Nats leader and soap dodger in the Commons, compared opponents to the changes as white supremacists. Speaking of her experiences, Miss Cherry said, I have been very upset. I've sat in my office in Westminster on many occasions and cried because of the really awful atmosphere I had to work in. I have no doubt that hatred is directed towards me as a lesbian and as a feminist, and it's all homophobic and lesbophobic. I don't care about lesbians. I really don't. Don't care about gay men. Don't care. Don't care. Do what you like. Don't care. But when a man is dressing up as a woman and wanting to enter a safe space for women, where, a changing room or swim pool place. So, you go to the changing room, swimming pools, places like that, or in shops. And I don't just mean where vulnerable women are, like in DV centres or crisis clinics, things like that. I'm just talking about generally. When a man wants to dress as a woman to go in there and then expose his manly penis in front of women and young girls, that's where I draw the line. Don't care if you're gay, don't care if you're lesbian, don't care. But you walk into a changing room with your penis, where my wife is, and you won't have your penis for very long. And I shall stop there, and I shall come up. The SNP is falling apart on many, many different policies, but I think this is the one that will cause the most damage. Predominantly, they're for this bill, but there's enough of them against it through moral or ethical concerns, through religious concerns, through just generally a logical concern about how far the bill goes in enabling men to access women's spaces. That sort of thing. And it will cause major splits. And it will form cabals of power bases. There'll be we're against it, blah, 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 and you're going to get this and that. And leaders of these various groups will emerge. And I think it is another example of how the SNP gets something so very wrong. Because even within the infighting within the party, where the majority of the party are for it, but the majority of the country are against it. And they have a very hard sell in trying to convince people that allowing mentally ill men access to safe areas where there's going to be women and young girls is safe is going to be a very uphill task. And I'm hoping that a lot of SNP people see this and say, no, it's too far. Look to their wives, their mothers, their daughters, their sisters, their nieces, their female friends. Look and think, actually, no, I need to protect them. I've got to vote against it and vote elsewhere in the next election. If it goes through, if the gender bill goes through, it will basically eliminate women. Women will no longer be a thing. You will be male or you will be not male, but you won't be a woman. You're not allowed to be a woman because men will be women too. In law. It will be the biggest change and upheaval in society. Let's hope the court case fails. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you're seeing here on the channel, please hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. Definitely hit the subscribe button. A lot of you don't, and yet you're very regular viewers. I see the figures. And so just hit the button and then you don't miss. Anyway, until next time, stay safe, stay well, and remember, men are men, women are women, and men who pretend to be women are mentally ill. Bye.